more than we expected, which is amazing. We're going to speak a little bit today about something that I think is near and dear to our hearts and also really central to the way our schools operate. So I'm from Wellington International School on Cheapside Road, and my colleague Marie Ramos is
Harrow English High School, Dubai.
And we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about Maker Education and our journey with that and some of the benefits that Maker Education can have for students and for their development. But before we get started, we wanted to, we wanted to ask you all to just engage in a quick thinking activity. So there are some brown bags on your table. We thought the brown bags would be shared across two, but we've got more people, and that's okay. So what we want to do is have you guys get into groups at your tables of 2 or 3 and use what you find inside as a way of introducing yourselves to each other. However you like. You can make something with it, you can tell a story that relates to it, whatever it is that makes the most sense for you. Yes, you can make a mascot for your little group after you introduce yourselves to each other. Okay. Is this teamwork? Teamwork, yes. Yes, yeah, those 21st century skills. Oftentimes, I think now when we see Lego, we tend to think kind of automatically about STEM or STEAM education. But the skills that you just listed off were in fact not really what we would think of as STEM or STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. They were more of what some people call soft skills, what some people call interpersonal skills, what some people would call 21st century skills. And they're central to Maker Education. So let me just ask you all in the room, how many of you have heard the term Maker Education before? Okay, STEM education. Okay, STEAM education. Yeah, so it's STEAM is sort of, I guess, the more integrated version of STEM. I think you might go to the next one. All right, so what is Maker Education? I think if you think about STEM education or STEAM education, Maker Education is STEAM in action. A lot of schools historically have done a very good job of teaching science, technology, engineering, arts, or math separately. But putting them together into something integrated, into something that involves creating things and problem solving is more of a systemic change for schools. It involves looking at structures differently, at planning differently, at manpower and assessment differently. And our journey with Maker Ed started about 5 years ago with our first Maker Fair. And that was at Wellington International. And since then, it's grown to almost 800 makers, 21 different schools, close to 20 different community organizations, and an event that showcases some of the work that's being done at schools, but also allows people to come away having learned something new and coming up with ideas of things that they can create themselves. But I think more importantly, it's something that's become part of our teaching and learning practices. And I can see at a lot of the tables that were out there some really great examples of this Maker Education in action. sometimes it's easier to show than to tell. So we're going to show you a quick clip of Maker Day from 2 years ago. It's changed since then, but I love this because it is a student-created video for a very student-centered day. Volunteers from the Student Council at the Rochester Institute of Technology. All right, so when we talk about maker education, we're often looking at those STEAM skills, which are part of the national agenda and a huge priority for a lot of our schools. But we found that something really interesting happened around our schools, which is that we started to develop communities of learners and communities of practice. So we, as teachers, started to work together and share our ideas with one another. And we also found our students started to come together, not just within a school, but also across schools to work on projects and to find community partners. And we were also really excited, just this past year, Harvard's Graduate School of Education, actually in January, published a white paper, which we have copies of for you, outlining what they see as sort of the whole child benefits of maker education, and also a thinking routine to support maker education, which we'll have a chance to try out later. But what they found was that not only did students develop hard skills in science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths, they also developed those more interpersonal skills or life skills that we think of. They developed collaboration skills, communication skills, and most importantly, started to see themselves as people who could affect change in the world. So when we talk about developing agency, it's that idea that we can go out, we can do something, we can create something, we can see problems, and we can make changes. And even though it's never really been intentional, there is this sort of social entrepreneurship side of Maker Day that really comes to the surface with a lot of the projects very organically. And it's definitely worth having a look through that paper. So what we're going to do right now is share a practical example from our own divide. You know, such as one of the biggest barriers we talk about with maker Maker Education is budget, and our own has done incredible work with the resources that they have.
I'm here representing our own English High School Dubai. We are a girls' school and we have around more than 10,000 students. But we have a wonderful leadership team and a wonderful principal who's right here, in fact, Mr. Thomas Matthew, who has made this possible. I'd just like to know how many of you all have a research and design studio in your school? Research and design. Just one school? Okay. The reason why I'm here is to be able to tell you all that it's possible for each school to have just one room. Yes, if it's vacant, it can be used for research and design, and possibly innovation, because innovation is what is tomorrow. And as Sheikh Mohammed said, if you don't innovate, we stagnate, right? And recently on the 14th, we had our school exhibition, which was called Innovex, and it was simply wonderful. So here I am presenting the Research and Design Studio. Every break time, where the children come in with their different boxes, they come into the studio and they have a motivational Monday, a tech Tuesday, and a workshop Wednesday. This is run entirely by the students. So the students are empowered to give motivational talks. They are inspired with their technological skills and they present it to others. They have a workshop, they possibly talk about magic or anything to do with some kind of maker activity, right? So that's every break time. So we try to use whatever time available in our school for creative learning and innovation. It's really important. It stimulates not just the children, I think it stimulates us as teachers to be able to help them improvise and for them to grow literally. Okay, we also have something called the Cadet Club, which is started by us from GEM School, which is international actually, the Cadet Club. It's part of TED, where it talks about technology, entertainment and design. Well, this is a small student group, mainly middle school, which get to collaborate with other schools from all over the world. And we have live chat sessions. And it's called Cadet Club. And it's all taking place in the studio that we have. This was designed especially for the Research and Design Studio. So I think student learning and inspiration, creativity, all that happens when your studio looks good, right? So this is all done by the students. They painted on the walls. I had girls coming in from 12th grade and saying, "Ma'am, we are graduating, but I've always wanted to paint on the walls." So they had their chance to paint on the walls. Yeah. And really inspirational. This is part of Maker Day, where the girls created things out of waste. So that's where they get to use, and we call it Maker on a Mission. So that's how we propagated ourselves. And we won 3 years in a row. We won for the Maker Day, which is done by 16. So that's how we collaborated, and that's how we help student learning and the growth of our school as well. And we wouldn't be able to do all this if it was not for our leadership team here, which is principals and the head of schools, the head of middle school, who really motivates the children. And not just the children, I think it's the staff that they motivate. They have motivated me to be able to start the studio, yes, and to motivate the children as well, to make it a better place. So I really encourage you all to put in innovation, to make a research and design studio in your school to help that creativity grow.
Because some of our students are in that as well, too. And so here's another example that I found really inspiring too. We think about low-cost frames for maker education in a school. There's a man by the name of Kabir Vajpayee, who is an architect by training, and he's the founder of an organization called BALA, Building as a Learning Aid. And what Kabir has done is he's worked with schools in India, typically high poverty schools, to redesign their learning environments, keeping children at the heart and keeping the children's capacity to create things and to engage in play-based education at the heart of learning. So the pictures that I could find were a little bit small, but one of the things that he designed with the teachers and parents of the school was to look at these security bars and to rework them into something that could be played with. So it's actually, if you can see that, a bar used for developing fine motor skills as you move toys across the bar, trying not to touch it. He looked at a traditional classroom, and you can see a girl there standing up at a desk. And it was with the teachers that he redesigned, because again, this is a full community effort. And they took the desk, they created that as a writable space. And I love what Marie said about wanting to paint on the walls. You know, one of the best investments you can make for a design studio or for an innovation studio is just to get some whiteboard paint so that the wall becomes a working space. And if you Google Kabir and Bala, you can come to this whole presentation. Unfortunately, it can't be downloaded, but you can see so many examples of how he has recreated all service areas to be part of this engaging creative learning. So they painted a chalkboard surface onto the table and simply lowered it so that it's something that could be more creatively and actively used by students. And this is great. They built painted protractors around the doors just so that that could even be part of the learning environment as well. They have games that are painted onto the pavement and the sidewalk outside for playtimes. And again, it's all about helping children and teachers redesign and recreate their environment to be places where children can be these agents and can build these soft skills. Oops. Okay. Next one. Okay, so with our handouts, we have a guide to getting started with maker education. And it has some quick tips for getting started and some great resources. So one of the things you can see with the work that they've done at OOD is finding a space for making. So you're really looking at creating this in like space and time. Where can people make things, and when can you find time for making? Sometimes beginning with break time or after school is the easiest way to build this in. Often, if we look at education reforms, and there's a lot of research that's done, and we bring them into the school after a lot of debate and deliberation, maker education often tends to actually be the reverse. It's something that you build at the school almost as an aside, and it works its way into the classroom. Not as an aside, but as like more of an enrichment type of a thing. But it's that space and time that's most critical. So thinking about space, you can certainly see what they did at OOD, but not every school has space. And one resource that you can develop is a tinkering table, which is really just a table with things to make stuff using the resources that you have. You can move that into different parts of your school, depending on the week, depending on the day, so that it's mobile. At the school where I work, we actually don't have a physical space for innovation, so we do it through boxes. We have these plastic boxes full of maker supplies that we can break out for different types of workshops. But knowing that there's a regular time set aside where students can go and create is a wonderful thing. We're also coming up right now on the hot season where more break times are indoors. So it's another way of thinking about, okay, this is an option that we can trial now. We can think about creating some maker spaces or maker times indoors in a portable boxed up tinkering table kind of way if you don't have a physical space that you can use. So there's some great resources too on the White House's website from the US because they have a week of making coming up in June. You can find the link on the sheet that we just passed out. finding stuff for making. You can find a lot of the resources that you need, because again, it's more about the thinking skills than the specific materials or projects that you have. There are a ton of links that we have there that have low cost, easily accessible activities. There is a distributor for some electronics parts in Dubai called Zero Ohm, which sells the materials at about the same price as the US, which is great. Because I used to sneak mine in the suitcase through security, and I'm sure they looked at it and thought, what on earth is she planning to do with all of this stuff? But once I found Zero Ohm, I was pretty excited. There are maker spaces popping up. If you don't have a 3D printer at your school, we don't have a 3D printer at my school. We'd love to have one, but it hasn't happened. Or you don't have a laser cutter. We don't have a laser cutter either. There are more and more maker spaces coming up. So has anyone heard of a place called Origin Base in Al Quds? So it's fantastic. It's also a lawsuit waiting to happen. It's not a place that you would bring a group of students and say, let's have a great time with saws and things like that. But they do run free workshops on 3D design, 3D printing, and laser cutting that you can certainly share with your students. They also are open to having groups of students over the age of 13 come in, and they do have an area upstairs that's a little less hazardous feeling.
Which one is this year?
It's Origin Base in Al Quds. The place is absolutely fantastic. Every time I go there, I don't want to leave. They're helping Maria and her students right now with some 3D printing work. There is a makerspace that was developed by GE in Masdar City, for anyone who's kind of on that end of the city where Abu Dhabi doesn't feel that far. There are two makerspaces opening in Silicon Oasis, one in DTech, which is the new entrepreneurship center in Silicon Oasis, and that's in partnership with Intel, and another makerspace that is opening in that main building in Silicon Oasis headquarters building. For people who might want to get their hands engaged in learning some of these maker skills, there's a wonderful course on Coursera over the summer that's free. Again, it's on your sheet, but it's run by the Exploratorium in California, and it takes you through 5 or 6 different maker activities in a really simple, straightforward way, including sewing circuits, which is where you sew a circuit into like a stuffed animal, toy take-apart projects, light up cards, where you're using basic 3-volt batteries to create a card that can light up, and basic circuits. So that's a really fun one. But what we're going to do right now is, and then Maker Day also. If this is something you're just kind of getting your feet wet with, Maker Day is open to the whole community, not just GEM schools. We have 40 hours of free workshops this year, tons of different hands-on projects for the kids to try. My email is on there, so if you are interested in coming, even with a group of students for a field trip to Maker Day, we're happy to set that up, or to showcase some of their projects. So let's just see how much time we have left. Okay, so we brought some projects for you guys to try out in different places. So Marie and her students have one project. I'll take you through the other ones quickly and then turn it over to them. On the Wayback Table over here, we are making scribbling machines. So if that sounds interesting, that's my son, by the way. He's here to help out with the scribbling machines. We have at this table back here, I didn't talk about the thinking routines from Harvard. So the thinking routine they've established for making is to look at an item, look at it closely, think about how the item was designed, what purpose it has, then to think about complexity, to think about what systems this item is part of, and then to think about ways to improve it. So we're going to put some simple items back there. Sure, I could use this. We'll put some simple items back there, and you can have an opportunity to try out the thinking routine. We have makey-makeys over at this table, which are super fun. They're not cheap. They're about $50 per, but we have 10 of them in our school, and we just keep them on rotation through the whole school. And then we have some tinkering supplies at the back table. And for anyone who would actually just rather spend some time at your table thinking about how you might get started with making at your school, we have some paper and some Post-its and markers and things like that so that you could do that too. So basically you can decide what you want to do at this time. And Marie and her students have a challenge, so you're picking one of these. You can choose. Do you want this?
Our challenge is Waterworks. At the back of your sheet, you have these blank spaces. We would like you to create a layout or a diagram, basically, of anything that you think is innovative enough to use water efficiently and effectively. It can be anything, like you can even create a layout of connecting different water systems that has been created and make something like, suppose you have a building, so the electricity is being run by water. Now how are you going to connect that water further into being used in the same building? So create something innovative. On the back of the pages you can make a layout.
You may now begin.
Yeah, we've done this one at home.
Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Eric. We're graduate students at MIT Media Lab.
We have agreed that everyone is an inventor. So we created Makey Makey to let you invent just by alligator clip. Alligator clips stuff like bananas to your Makey Makey. When you touch the banana, your computer just thinks you're touching the keyboard. The front has arrow keys, spacebar, and mouse left click. When you're ready for more, flip the Makey Makey over and you've got more keyboard keys and support for the mouse. You can even use the board like an Arduino when you are ready. No programming, no breadboard. You don't even have to install software. Just plug it in with USB.
Order your Makey Makey today and start changing how the world works.
So we're not trying to sell Makey Makeys, but they're really good fun. Nevi's class actually today is doing Makey Makey your lunch into a Minecraft controller. So they're bringing their lunch boxes and keep going with these. What's nice is that it is Arduino compatible, so as kids can move on, you can get more about high-tech type of a thing. But one class set has actually been enough for us. So I know we're out of time. If anyone wants to stick around to ask questions or to try out the Makey Makey or create some art with this